She walked into the bank with just an old wallet and a faint smile, asking to withdraw $500, and was mocked by those who would soon be stunned. No one knew that in just a few minutes, she would activate an account worth over $2 billion, unveiling a financial empire buried for nearly a decade. Her words, "I'm not withdrawing $2 billion, I'm transferring it all," made those who had looked down on her bow their heads. But what earned her true respect wasn't the wealth she held, but the forgiveness she extended to those who had scorned her. This is the story of a quiet woman wise and kind enough to silence an entire system of power. Chapter 1: The Silent Woman. Monday morning, everything unfolded as it did every other morning at the bank's central branch. Early sunlight slanted through large glass windows glinting off the marble floor. The atmosphere held its usual rhythm: the hum of printers, the click of high heels, intermittent phone rings, and customer greetings, delivered with the precision of a well-programmed machine. No one noticed when she walked through the revolving glass door. She wasn't tall, her frame slightly frail, draped in a gray coat with frayed edges, clutching a worn brown wallet. Her face wasn't aged, but something about her made her easy to overlook, like someone often forgotten in a crowd. Her silver hair was neatly tied back, her soft canvas shoes stepping slowly across the marble. No one turned, no surprised glances. The young teller, Diana, 25, navigated her computer screen with practiced speed. Diana was the confident new generation red lipstick, smartwatch, perfectly straightened hair. She glanced at exchange rates while sipping her latte, her eyes flicking toward the woman waiting in line. "Next, please." Diana's voice was crisp, tinged with the rush of peak morning hours. The woman stepped to the counter, placed her small wallet on the surface, and gave a gentle smile. "I'd like to withdraw cash." "How much, ma'am?" $500. Diana raised an eyebrow. The amount wasn't large, but something felt off. The woman offered no card, no documents, just stood waiting. "May I have your name and account number?" After a few verification steps, the screen displayed, "Account inactive, no recent transactions." Diana smirked, leaning toward her colleague to whisper something. The coworker stifled a laugh. They clearly thought the old lady was trying to withdraw money she didn't have. The woman didn't react. She just looked straight ahead, her eyes kind but calm. Instead of anger or embarrassment, she leaned slightly toward Diana and said in a voice soft as a breeze, "Then, please let me withdraw $2 billion." The room seemed to freeze. Diana froze. A chair creaked behind her. Two other customers looked up. The security guard near the entrance tilted his ear. Even the ringing phone at the next counter went ignored. "I'm sorry," Diana stammered, thinking she'd misheard. "I want to withdraw $2 billion in cash." The woman enunciated each word, her voice steady and unwavering. The statement landed in this seemingly harmless space, turning it surreal, like a joke told at the wrong moment. Someone snorted. A male teller at the back covered his mouth. Diana flushed, flustered, and immediately pressed the button to summon the manager. Within a minute, Mr. Raymond, the branch manager, a man in his 50s, impeccably suited with sharp, cold eyes, emerged from his office, his face framed with a practiced smile. "What's the issue, Diana?" "Sir, the customer wants to withdraw a large sum, but her account—" "How much were your $2 billion, sir?" The air seemed to vanish. Raymond looked at the woman. She stood tall, unflinching, her gaze steady. No hint of jest, no sign of confusion, just absolute calm. He clasped his hands, keeping his tone gentle. "Ma'am, could you repeat your request?" "I want to withdraw $2 billion. She said it a third time, her expression unchanged. Now the entire bank lobby seemed to halt. All eyes were on this small woman. The mockery faded, replaced by a vague mix of doubt and caution. "Please come to my office." Raymond's voice lowered, slightly hoarse. She nodded, picked up her wallet, and followed him, her steps unhurried but carrying an invisible weight that made it impossible to look away. As the office door closed, Diana was still reeling. She glanced at her screen, then at the woman's retreating figure. Something was wrong, not with the woman, but with herself. For the first time that day, Diana felt a chill down her spine. In a corner, the elderly security guard who'd worked there over 15 years muttered, "I've seen her somewhere. In the papers, on a board profile? No way." In Raymond's office, he opened the envelope the woman had handed him. His eyes scanned the lines, then stopped abruptly. His face paled. Outside, everyone stood still, waiting for something they couldn't name. The morning's story was no longer about a withdrawal. It was about to become an unprecedented reckoning in the bank's history. And the woman with her worn shoes, tattered wallet, and gentle voice was the eye of the storm waiting to be named. Chapter 2. The Old Envelope, a Hidden Truth. Some truths don't need to be shouted. They only need to be revealed at the right moment. In the quiet office, light from recessed ceiling fixtures bathed the polished wooden desk, where a creased ivory envelope sat carefully placed before Mr. Raymond, the branch manager. He didn't open it immediately. His eyes flicked to the woman seated across from him. She sat upright, hands resting on her wallet as if nothing mattered. But the room was thick with tension. Raymond cleared his throat, touching the envelope. "Ma'am, what is this?" "A reminder," she said softly, "and a preparation set in motion years ago." For some reason, her response made him pause. Not because of its vagueness, but because of the unshakable certainty she exuded. Then he opened the envelope. The rustle of paper broke the room's silence. Inside was a stack of documents, thin but dense, with text topped by a handwritten letter signed Tom Johnson. Raymond's eyes widened. Tom Johnson, a name nearly erased from the media nearly a decade ago after he vanished abruptly as his financial empire was expanding globally. The banking world called his disappearance the historic evaporation, leaving endless questions. Where did he go? Why did he vanish? And most crucially, who controlled the remaining assets? Raymond looked up. "Ma'am, what is your connection to Mr. Johnson?" She smiled slowly, not with pride, but as if recalling something deeply familiar. "I'm his wife." Raymond held his breath. The documents weren't just a letter. They formed a complex legal dossier, an internationally notarized will-sealed asset contracts in offshore trusts, and a separate document marked in red ink. Clause 14B, activation of inheritance rights in cases of special disappearance. This clause stipulated that if Tom Johnson couldn't be confirmed alive within 7 years, all personal assets, parent companies, anonymous trusts, and board control would transfer to his legal heir, his wife, without court rulings. Each line, each seal made the veins on Raymond's forehead pulse. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from realizing what was about to unfold. "Ma'am, do you know the level at which these accounts are frozen?" "I know better than anyone in this building," she replied, her gaze piercing. "But they're not frozen anymore." Just then, the door burst open. A panting technician clutched a tablet. "Mr. Raymond, the system's alerting. An internal data set is auto-updating, and an unidentified account just activated." Raymond jolted. "Which account?" "A level 5 internally locked account. No one has access, except the international board." Raymond muttered, his face ashen. Down in the tech bay, financial monitoring systems flashed. Account EQS Gemini 001 lit up for the first time in 9 years. The screen displayed owner access authenticated, accompanied by a name, Clara, the woman sitting upstairs. Instantly, a cascade of assets linked offshore investment funds, shares in major global corporations, all updated to ownership transfer, legally authenticated. The technician stared stunned. Meanwhile, another curious young employee, intrigued by the odd event, tried accessing internal records for Clara. After several denied attempts, he stumbled on a classified file marked Dormant, Special Handling, Level 7. Inside was a duplicate of a controlling shareholder contract tied to Project Gemini, a covert mega investment where most of Tom Johnson's wealth was hidden, isolated from the parent company and audits. Attached was a contingency transfer order. If the heir, Clara, authenticated her identity and followed protocol, the entire system must respond and transfer within 24 hours. In the manager's office, Raymond set the documents down, his doubts gone. "What do you need from me?" She closed her wallet slowly. "I want what's mine, and I trust you're smart enough not to mishandle it." A brief silence. Then Raymond picked up his phone. Not to call security or subordinates. He dialed the regional board's office. "We have an urgent matter. Very urgent. Send a scan of the dossier to legal immediately. And," he glanced at the woman, "prepare high-level access for Mrs. Clara." Outside, no one knew exactly what was happening, but one by one they sensed something monumental shifting. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't threaten. But with one old envelope, she bent a system others thought unyielding. And what was unfolding now was only the beginning. Chapter 3, The Air in Silence. Some people enter a room and shift the air. Few do so in silence. By late morning, sunlight streamed high, slanting through thick glass, casting sharp beams across the marble floor. The tension in the bank branch remained taut since the name Clara appeared in the secure data system, unlocking an account thought forever forgotten. And then, as if on an unspoken cue, the front glass door swung open. Two men in black suits entered, silent, neither slow nor rushed. Their eyes scanned the space like biometric scanners. Their posture, movements, presence all signaled one thing: they weren't here to ask permission. Behind them, an older man, around 60, salt and pepper hair, swept back in a tailored navy suit, a Patek watch peeking from his cuff. He didn't introduce himself, but no one needed him to. He was Thomas, a key figure in the financial conglomerate that took control after Tom Johnson's disappearance. Raymond, the branch manager, personally opened his office door, ushering them in, his voice subdued. "Please come in. She's waiting." Clara sat there, calm, her hands lightly clasped on the table. No surprise, no triumphant smile. Thomas looked at her. His gaze was hard to read, not dismissive, but not yet respectful. Something like memory and unsettled past flickered in his eyes. "Why are you here?" His voice was low, polite, yet guarded. "To continue what my husband left behind," she replied. Thomas nodded slightly. "The documents you provided need verification." "You won't need much time for that," Clara said slowly, opening her wallet and producing a second envelope, newer, crisp, sealed with red wax. She placed it on the table, sliding it toward Thomas. "This is his letter. To me, with the final clause. You'll recognize the handwriting and the mark." Thomas took the envelope with both hands, opening it carefully in the room's presence. Inside was a short letter, its first line scrawled but familiar. "If you're reading this, they've started underestimating you." Behind the letter was a handwritten addendum signed by Tom Johnson, notarized with the signatures of 3 international lawyers. It stipulated, in the event of an unexplained disappearance exceeding 7 years, all ownership, trusts, legal representation, and board voting rights transferred to his wife Clara without further verification. Thomas read it once, then again. His eyes lingered on the final line where Johnson's pen seemed to hesitate, as if leaving something unsaid. His lips tightened. His fingers tapped the table's edge. "I warned him this day would come," Thomas said softly, not looking up. "And he prepared for it long ago," she replied. There was no room for debate. Thomas stood. His nod wasn't surrender, but acknowledgement of someone bested by patience, not force. "The system will handle the rest. I won't interfere." He turned to leave, but before exiting, he said without looking back, "If she's back, the game has truly changed." As the door closed behind Thomas and the 2 men, Raymond exhaled. "What else do you need from me?" "I need the system to transfer full ownership of all accounts tied to Gemini and its subsidiary trust to my name, including digital assets, real estate shares, and internal voting rights." Raymond nodded. No trace of doubt remained, only orders being executed. Immediately, technical requests were sent. The screen before him displayed a series of authentication codes requiring the account holder's fingerprint. Clara placed her finger on the scanner without hesitation. A beep sounded. The status turned green. "Authentication successful. Transfer complete." Another screen showed a number stretching into hundreds of digits. Total asset value over $2.7 billion, excluding unreported profits in undisclosed trusts. The room fell silent. No one dared speak. Then Clara looked up, her eyes clear and resolute, her voice ringing as if she'd waited years to say, "I'm not withdrawing $2 billion." All eyes turned to her. "I'm transferring it all." The words sliced through the already heavy air. Not because of the sum, but because of the absolute resolve in her voice. No negotiation, no hesitation, no doubt. Outside, a few bank staff quietly gathered in the break room, whispering, "What's happening? Who really owns this bank?" The answer, if they were patient, would come sooner than they thought. Because after power was transferred, the next test would be of human hearts. Chapter 4, Power and Forgiveness. The greatest power isn't in making others submit, but in what you choose to do when they already have. By noon, sunlight from the bank's glass ceiling spread like a halo across the main hall. The glinting marble floor felt as if someone had stepped out of legend, and that someone was her. The manager's office door opened quietly. Clara emerged slowly, upright, unassuming, but the entire lobby seemed to hold its breath. No one commanded it, no one announced her, but all fell silent. Diana, the young teller at counter 4, had her face buried in her hands. She'd overheard everything from behind the door: the woman's name, the transferred assets numbers that made her shudder. But it wasn't the money that choked her. It was shame. She remembered how her eyes had scanned the woman with disdain. She'd laughed, mocked someone she thought knew nothing of banking, finance, or modern life. Now each action returned like a slap. Clara passed her counter. Every gaze followed, including Diana's, her eyes red. She didn't dare look up. But when Clara stopped at her station, Diana's heart sank. I'm sorry, she mumbled. I was rude. No reproach. No lecture. Clara simply drew a small ivory card from her wallet, placed it gently on the counter, and smiled. Everyone makes mistakes, dear. What matters is whether you correct them. I was like you once, seeing the world only with my eyes, not my heart. She moved on, leaving Diana frozen, her trembling hand holding the card heavier to her than any punishment. At the hall's end, Raymond, the branch manager, was on the phone with the regional board. The voice on the other end was cold. Given the initial oversight and misjudgment, we must consider replacing you. Raymond stayed silent. He knew he'd let things go too far. Though he'd course and corrected in time, it happened under his watch. He didn't blame anyone. He didn't defend himself. Just said softly, I understand. Moments later, as he set the phone down, Clara approached. He stood giving a slight bow, his first that morning. I'm sorry for everything. If there's anything I can do to make amends. You already have, she interrupted gently. You stopped at the right moment and chose to respect the truth. Not everyone has the courage to do that when instinct pulls the other way. Raymond blinked, caught off guard. She continued, I know the board wants to replace you, but if I may suggest, I'd like you to stay. Why? Because I don't need perfection. I need someone who knows when to listen. Raymond's gaze softened. Relief not for keeping his position, but for being forgiven kindly. She didn't leave immediately. She walked along the counters, shaking hands with each employee, not as a boss, but as someone reclaiming trust from a place that once doubted her. Her eyes saw through their professional facades, reaching the human within. No one spoke loudly, but every whisper carried the same sentiment: I'll remember this morning for life. An accounting clerk murmured to a colleague, she's like a storm that destroys nothing, only sweeps away prejudice. The words spread like a quiet ripple, soft but unstoppable. In the regional boardroom hours later, an emergency closed meeting convened. Many feared the morning's events would trigger a branch overhaul, layoffs, or restructuring. But when the board representative entered, he placed a handwritten letter before them. It was from Clara. Just a few lines. I didn't come to topple anyone. I came to be seen as myself. Those who looked again, they deserve a second chance. The room fell quiet, not because the letter was brief, but because of the moral weight in each word. That afternoon, as Clara left the branch, the sun was still high. No entourage, no escort, no reporters trailing her. She simply walked, still holding her old wallet, her demeanor serene. The only difference, every gaze now followed her with profound respect. No mockery, no doubt. They stood having witnessed something greater than wealth, forgiveness, at the height of power. In the break room, Diana still held the card. She'd read it dozens of times. For the first time in years of work, she wondered, how many people have I judged with my eyes, never using my heart? From the tech bay, a new system alert appeared. Account Gemini.01 transfer complete, status stable. Control Clara, legally activated. But then another alert flashed from an address never seen before. Linked account activated, owner Tom Johnson. And like an undercurrent, the newfound calm began to stir again. Chapter 5, the final move. Some farewells need no escort. Their final presence is farewell enough. Clara left the meeting room in the late afternoon after all transfer procedures were confirmed. The accounts were stabilized, access re-established, and the entire banking system, from the regional board to the tech team, tacitly acknowledged an unspoken truth. She was now the force behind Tom Johnson's most deeply secured asset network, the man once considered the soul of the financial conglomerate. She said nothing more. She gave a slight nod to Raymond, the manager who doubted her, but stepped back in time. Their handshake was brief but weighty. She turned toward the main lobby. The last light of day filtered through the high glass ceiling, casting soft beams across the marble. Her steps echoed evenly, light but resolute. Then a beep sounded. No one noticed at first. Just another system alert among hundreds. But the technician at the server floor froze when he read the screen. Account dormant link .02 activated. Owner Tom Johnson. His eyes widened. His fingers raced across the keyboard for details. This wasn't an inherited account or a standard link. It was an original personal account encrypted at security level 7, the kind only the true owner could awaken. And most crucially, it had been dormant for 9 years. No transactions, no access, no transfers. Until now. He grabbed the phone, calling the operations room. An account under Tom Johnson, just reactivated. The only activity is an identity ping, no transfer, just a signal. Silence on the other end. In the main lobby, a bank employee hurried toward Clara, who was steps from the front door. Ma'am, Sorry, but we just got an alert an account under Mr. Tom Johnson has reactivated. She stopped. Her shoulders trembled faintly, almost imperceptibly. She turned slowly, her eyes locking onto the screen the employee held out. Not from surprise, but as if she'd been waiting for this moment. The screen showed, ping from anonymous account, no transfer, no message, just a live signal. A green dot pulsed like a heartbeat, restarting after a long sleep. She stared at the screen, then exhaled softly, almost a silent laugh. Her eyes, though weathered by time, retained their sharpness, and in that moment they gleamed with the light of someone seeing a missing piece of their life. She whispered as if to herself, "You still had one move left." She didn't ask more, didn't demand an investigation, didn't call anyone, because she understood. If he was alive or had left an automated response, it wasn't by chance. It was a choice, and she respected it. She turned, looking around the bank one last time. Those who'd scorned her now bowed their heads in awe. Those who'd laughed now stayed silent in respect. But one thing was undeniable: they'd witnessed something beyond a transfer of assets. They'd seen a woman rise from silence to magnificence. As she passed through the door, the lobby's surveillance cameras briefly flickered off. No technical glitch, no sabotage. At that exact moment, a new security protocol activated via the dormant linked R2 account's transaction, prioritizing a 30-second halt to all image recording. No photo captured her departure. But in the minds of those present, she'd never fade. Her presence didn't need images to endure. The door closed with a soft thud, and that was it. No applause, no fanfare. No one chased her for photos or interviews. Just absolute silence, like a tacit reverence among those who just witnessed what could only be called compassionate wisdom. Outside, the afternoon sun stretched long, quiet as the woman herself. Hours later, in a high-level boardroom, an emergency meeting convened. Technical reports were printed, all eyes fixed on the final line. Tom Johnson's account retains access to an undecoded segment of Project Gemini. Someone spoke slowly. If he's still alive, what kept him from returning? No one answered. But all knew the game wasn't over, and Clara hadn't yet finished her journey. The next day, the ivory card she'd left on Diana's counter was photocopied and pinned to the bank's internal bulletin board. Below, someone had added a handwritten note. Never judge someone just because they ask for $500. They might be here to reclaim an empire with silence. The story of the quiet woman who entered a bank to withdraw $500 and reclaimed an empire isn't just a dramatic reversal. Behind her gentle words and steady steps lies a profound message about dignity, wisdom, and forgiveness. In a modern world where judgments are often swayed by appearances, power, or louder voices, this story reminds us a person's true value lies not in their exterior, but in their calm amidst prejudice and their character at the peak of power. She didn't come to exact revenge or raise her voice to prove herself. She came to restore truth, delivering a silent but profound lesson. And when holding absolute power, she chose forgiveness over punishment, respect over dominance. That is the mark of true strength, grounded in ethics, armed with compassion. The story also sounds a warning: never judge someone by how they enter. Sometimes they come not to ask for anything, but to take back everything with unwavering resolve and unbargainable integrity. And as she walked away, bearing no badge or title, what lingered was the awe in onlookers' eyes and the quiet lesson etched in their hearts. A lesson about the ultimate power, knowing when and how to wield it rightly.